We're here with the legend, Fernando Cabada. Welcome to the Vamos Rundown. Yeah, man, we're happy to have you. I've been following your journey for quite some time. I think I told you a little bit on the phone. I'm kind of like a fanboy. I know who's who, and I know we're not too far in age. So actually, when you were at Buchanan High School, I was actually running in a meet in your area in Fresno area. So that's how I came to know about you, just because you were one of the top high school prospects at that time. As you know, I'll let the people know you broke the 9-minute barrier in high school. Is that correct? That's an amazing.
As a junior in high school, that was 1999. It was like a 30-year-old record, and this is a time when we're running 30-mile weeks. I mean, wasn't as much running,
and a lot of dirt tracks, I'm sure, too, back in that day. That's awesome. And I mean, you progressed and you had a nice college career, which you ended up having a kind of storied college career, and then you went to an NIAIA school, which you broke a ton of records there, right? Do you want to touch on a little bit on some of those records that you broke at that school?
Yeah, I don't think I got any national records as far as the NAIA division. For those who don't know NAIA, those are, you got NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3, and then NAIA is a separate entity, I guess you could say. And it was just something where they didn't have rules as far as NCAA. Like once you start at NCAA, you have 5 years to complete 4 years. There was no time limit on that. Yeah. So, I ended up breaking American record in the NAIA, but it was an American record in the pro division on the roads. And, I won 7 NAIA national championships. 3 of those were in the relay, even 4x8. I was able to split a 152, 53 on an 800-meter leg. And, anchoring DMR and, winning some 5,000, 3,000, and 10,000 meter individual titles in the NAIA.
Fantastic, man. Yeah. I mean, the list could go on with you. I mean, once you jumped into the pro career, you've had a storied career, laundry list of accolades when it comes, almost 20 years in the pro division. I mean, just to rattle off a few for the people, 2:11 marathoner. I mean, you're talking Berlin, Olympic trials where you should have made the Olympics any other year just because it was such a fast field, and you finished 7th place there. I think I have here your 5K PR is 13:34, 10K 28:25. You mentioned American record holder. I mean, you're the real deal, man. Something to extremely be proud of, and it's been awesome just watching your journey. A few days ago, you mentioned on Instagram that you're retiring, but then I just saw on Strava that you had like an amazing long run where you're rattling off like 5:30, 5:20 miles. So what's the deal there, dude? Is it just for love, heart? Is that are you retiring, or what? Like, what's the story with that?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. And I was trying to articulate and pinpoint exactly how to explain how I feel, but I think as far as the normal runner, they all know that, hey, I'm still fast, I'm still in it. But everybody else, my peers, other elite athletes, guys who are younger than me, they know that I've been out of the game for a while. Everybody knows I've probably been out of it. I skipped the Olympic trials the last 2 years. I qualified for 5 Olympic marathon trials. I skipped the last 2. Why? Because I knew in my heart I wasn't going to do anything. I wasn't ready. And I'm kind of weird. If I'm not ready to do something, I simply won't do it. When you step on the line, you want to be ready and represent yourself and where you're from and all that good stuff. And I just wasn't where I wanted to be. I never would line up. But in my mind, I still kept thinking I was elite. Working over 60-hour weeks, juggling a coaching business, relationships, and about to settle down, get married, try to get the home with the yard, doing all this stuff. But in my mind, I kept thinking I could do it. But going to Boston, even last year, I was the 2023 Masters Boston Marathon champion.
Yeah.
I got beat by 15, 16 minutes by the leader. And everyone's focusing on, you just won Boston Masters, you won, and I won like $5,000. And, I'd go to these big races, I'm getting my ass kicked and I'm getting crushed, demoralized. And it's just like totally opposite of what somebody would actually think that I'm feeling. They're thinking I'm happy. Yeah. And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm thinking, dude, you're effing up. You're effing up.
Yeah.
I'm not an elite anymore. And as far as elite, I always saw myself as the best, one of the best. That's just who I was, no matter what. Even if I was losing, I still think I'm the best. And sometimes you got to be a delusional, sort of, right? You got to be like a legend in your own mind to make it in this crazy world, as far as, you know, because there's a lot of people who are negative and putting you down. And most of all, you're putting yourself down. And so I think I needed just to go out and say it, that I'm not an elite no more. And even like my coach said, Fernando, you need to take some days off. And this is what drew the line. This is what the straw that broke the camel's back for me to actually admit it. He said, Fernando, you could take your days off. You could not work overtime. And I told him, I'm not willing to do that for running because it's not that important to me. What's more important to me is my family, providing for them. And that's it. And I just always wanted to run for the love of it. And it so happens I'm still good. You know, who doesn't want to be good? But if I'm going to race, I want to race at a certain caliber. And right now I can't allot those hours needed in order to be an elite and stuff like that. So I'm done with competitive running, but I never said I'm going to be done entirely with the running. Maybe I will, a year down the road, you'll see me at a road mile, at a 50K, at a 50 miler.
Nice.
I still have goals in my heart, but right now I'm just trying to focus on my family and stuff. Right now we're in the immigration process. We just got the visa in hand. We've been in line for almost 2 years. Finally got that visa. They're going to be coming here. I'm just trying to get things set up and focused all my energy on that. And so right now, elite running and is that kind of getting in the way of the travel aspect of it. And you know, you want to run 2:12, which I still think I can going into 42 years old. You need to put in a certain amount of mileage and time and stuff that I'm just not willing to do that right now.
Totally, man. And just to tell you, I mean, I'm not on your caliber from a running aspect or life. We all have different paths, but I think we're similar where we're overachievers, a little bit of overthinkers, and that bears weight. And I actually went to go talk to somebody recently just to help me with that. And the best thing that they took from me that I've been doing every day is I write the best thing about my day, the worst thing about my day. And then a scale of 1 to 10, I just rate areas that I want to improve. So mine was just like overthinking. I rate that 1 to 10 and it's helped me a ton, but just coming from somebody with a similar mindset, that's like a little bit like that. That's big time. But I think you should be extremely proud of yourself, man. As you know, I'm sure you're proud of yourself.
Yeah.
And congratulations on the family. I've been following that on Instagram. So dude, good stuff there. And I'm happy for you from that sense as well.
I'll say it out loud now. I'm extremely proud of myself. You know, I've been extremely hard on myself almost all my life. And that stems back from a rough childhood, right? And not feeling like you're enough. And, but I always try to do the best in whatever I do, whether it's sweeping a floor, talking to people, whatever I do, I just want to be the best at. And so I'm really happy of the man I've become and what I represent and what I do and all that good stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I saw when you put out that retirement post, I saw the Hoka athlete Raj Paul, who's having some success in the ultra world. He's saying that you kind of paved the way for a lot of those guys. So, you know, getting the respect from your peers, that has to mean a lot as well, just from a running aspect.
Yeah, I think just the fact that I'm at my age, a lot of people cannot deny that I'm like the last of the Mohicans. Like there's not many people around that's doing it. I'm in uncharted territory. And it'll almost be like a waste for me just to totally disconnect from running and not run at a high level at some sort, you know, like I ran, for those who are wondering, 18 miles at 5:36 pace this morning. Like I finished about an hour ago. I had to drive there to my place, shower real quick and, you know, get online.
Sorry to mess up your schedule, bro. I appreciate it.
I got 3 hours and I'm going to be able to take a nap. So I'm okay. But, you know, it's pretty cool when, you know, Boston, New York, even though, you know, Clayton Young, the guy who got second at the trials, you know, he knew who I was. I went to congratulate him in New York this past weekend. I said, hey, good job, Clayton. And he says, oh, Fernando, nice to put a name to the face. I think a lot of people have heard about me, but they don't know what I look like. I mean, they're not going to come on
Yeah.
Instagram and come see how I
Yeah.
look, or, you know, Google
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
or something like that. But no, it's pretty cool that I could offer something. And I do want to get more involved later down the road, as far as maybe being an agent, maybe being an elite coordinator, or even having
That'd
a
be
race of my
awesome.
own. So the fun doesn't stop. Definitely going to maximize off of the hard work I've done. You know, I put myself in the position where I'm known, you know, for the past, like you said, 20 years, from races like Berlin, Boston. Going to take advantage of that too, and do some great things with that in my contacts and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's like I love your story, and I think why I followed your story and just like the whole. I mean, I don't see you on a day-to-day basis, but just that this is the story. It's like a great book that you're reading in a sense. Just the rawness, the struggle, the success, the perseverance. You know, it's all stuff that I'm really engaged with and inspires me. So, hey, thank you, man, and keep rolling with that type of stuff as well. So, uh, so I mean, how from I mean, running has always been a part of your life. Obviously, you had big success at Buchanan and you continue that success. I mean, you come from you know, a kind of trying background. You know, how much has that influenced your journey and just like where you're at, and you know, even from a running aspect, and now where you're at with, you know, growing a family and things like that. If you don't want, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, you know, as you know, I probably explained my story 100 times, but in a way, the story doesn't change, but the way I look at it now and perceive it has changed, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was born and raised in Southeast Fresno. The first part of my childhood, um, you know, I was raised in a bad area. You know, I lived in government housing. I had a father who was in and out of prison, heroin addict. He passed away June 8th, 2022.
Sorry to hear
So
that.
it's, yeah, his chapter is in, but it was a good thing. He suffered enough. And so anyways, you know, I got, you know, I would get hit. You know, I was traumatized. I didn't grow up with a lot of love or someone that was going to
Yeah.
like make sure I didn't get hit. Right. Like I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know, my mom was getting hit. I'm getting hit. My dad didn't know, had good social skills and didn't know how to control his anger. So I developed
Yeah.
social anxiety, and I had a feeling of like I wasn't good enough, you know, and even saying that, I feel like a broken record. You hear stories like that, but I lived it, you know,
Yeah.
and it affected me. And when I started running, when I got introduced to running, once I got to about 10 years old, I went to a different school. My mom got on the Section 8 housing program, which they went off their income. Takes a couple of years to get on it. For some people, they have to wait in line. My mom, you know, waited in line, and we were able to move to a better school district. And that school district, Clovis, California, you know, that's where Buchanan, Clovis High's at, Clovis
Yeah.
West. People, you know, are a lot more successful as far as people who are growing up in the Fresno school system, school district, especially where I grew up from. And, you know, I guess you could say, an outsider, not because anybody pushed me to be an outsider, but you're only going to hang out with guys who look like you, dress like you, talk like you. So, you know, I came from a Hispanic, an Asian majority at a school. Now, all of a sudden, I'm going to where everybody's, you know, white, Caucasian, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
And now you're maybe 10% Hispanic. I'm going to hang out with the Hispanics. So where I'm from, you know, no matter what, we start out little kids running down the street, and then all of a sudden we start glorifying, you know, that gang culture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I inspired to be growing up. You know, I wanted to be like my father. I wanted to be like my cousins. I wanted to be bad. I wanted to be this, and this. And I grew up thinking that, you know, being down and being a certain way was it. You know what I mean? That's what a
Yeah.
man was. Getting in trouble, getting arrested, going to prison. That's what you know, built your name.
Yeah.
But you know, through running, through coaches, good teachers, being in the school district, they fought a lot hard to get me back on the right track. So, you know, fast forward a bit, you know, I started running when I was, you know, fourth grade, and I ended up becoming really good around my junior year at Buchanan. You know, running in the summers. All of a sudden, I went from being, you know, on varsity, and my only goal was to win, to be first at Buchanan. I wanted to say I'm the fastest guy in this school.
Yeah.
At the same time, being fast, I was nationally ranked. Like you said, I broke 9 minutes for the 3,200-meter barrier. I broke a 29-year-old record as a junior. Um, and colleges, all this stuff, and I was rolling with that. I was just a normal kid now. I listened to alternative music, hung out with other white kids, because all my friends were going to continuation school, so and drugs and stuff like that, and so yeah, I'm really grateful for all that in my high school journey, and definitely I felt like my battle barely started to begin, right? Because I was still in identity, kind of confused of who I was and what I was, because I was doing stuff that I've never met anyone else that did. And 6-time Central Section Valley champion and all-state and nationally ranked, and going to University of Arkansas, which is an NCAA powerhouse. The darkness, kind of started, and obviously going forward, I got a lot of success and stuff in NAIA division, turned pro, and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, of course, you learn a lot from your struggles and just being in that environment, but then a product of your environment could go both ways. So, yeah, dude, I mean, I'm sure you're a better man for it, just going through that, even though.
I don't, and to finish, you reminded me, I kind of didn't finish the rest of your question, but where I come from, I don't forget where I come from and what I represent, Through and through, I'm a Chicano. For those who don't understand what a Chicano is, it's someone that, you have Mexican parents or grandparents born in Mexico, but you're born here, So a lot of times, a lot of us don't speak Spanish or fluent Spanish. And so here, a lot of us are going to call us Mexican no matter what, even though we never lived in Mexico or don't even know the language. And over there in Mexico, we're a gringo still, like it doesn't matter. You look like them or whatever. So, and that's what I am, a Chicano. That's what I identify as. And I know that, I was born and raised in Southeast Fresno. I know that I'm from the Central Valley. I went to Buchanan. I'm proud that I went to Buchanan. So that right there, what drives me, because I know there's a lot of people that look like me, talk like me, that are going to be watching this, right? And they're like, man, someone like that looks like me, that talks like me, did all this, and that kid might be in San Jose, in East San Jose or East Fresno or somewhere else where they grew up off the government. They grew up with the dad in prison. And so I think I sometimes forget that that's kind of why I want to be, motivate, people like that, no matter what their background is or what their color is. I just think more so of the adversity they had to endure just to get through high school or whatever, and it could be tough, but there's not many people out there that are like me, that are, had to go through the stuff I went through, and going forward, being a father and, going to be a husband and stuff like that. I'm afraid, I'm afraid because I know how bad this world could be. I didn't grow up in La La Land, I know, but also I've been around a lot of powerful and successful people and the people that I work with now. And I'm pretty confident, but I'm still afraid of the world. But I have to have faith and be positive and take care of myself, spiritually, mentally, physically, all that. So that's kind of what drives me to continue to be active and just overall just have a strong mentality. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, you're a fighter. You're a fighter, man. I think that's like how I would sum it up. And that's inspiring, man. So yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing your story. I mean, to get that detailed and that raw with it, that's going to inspire me. It's going to inspire a lot of the listeners as well. So thank you. So let's go back a little bit back to running. Let's just take a strip back. What's your most memorable race or the race that had the most impact on you? You could take that wherever you want, but something where you just really felt like it propelled you in some way.
It's kind of hard because
it could be races, I don't know, or just, but
in high school, I'll do a little bit so I could kind of people could, different levels of people, whether the high school,
of course,
college.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So in high school, I was a sophomore, and this is where, I'm barely getting a Letterman jacket. I'm barely, I'm winning races. I'm not that strong. I'm 115 pounds. I'm 5'10". I mean, I'm ranked third or fourth going into the conference meet. This is where you have like Madera, before Madera South even existed. You had Clovis West, you had Clovis, my school Buchanan. and we're going to the Tri-River Athletic Conference Championships, and all I wanted to do was have all Valley or all conference on my Letterman jacket, because you get these little strips. That's what I wanted. That's what kept me going. And I was 15 years old. Maybe I was going to turn 16. Conference championships. I'm right. I wanted to get top 3. I wanted to get a medal. My PB is 2:08 for 800 meters. I'm not that fast. Maybe 4:32 mile, maybe 4:29. Let's just say. The leader, the one that's the man, is a guy named Mike Pestrovich. He's a senior. I'm a sophomore. I even have one of my fast guys. He's a junior, Ryan Smithhart. He's like a 156, 157, 800 meter guy. Mm-hmm. Mike Pestrovich takes off 63. I go with him. All right. It's like a dream, right? One of the best races of my life. Out of all the accolades I've ever had, I passed through 800 meters, 2:07. I just got a PB for the 800 meters. I just got a PB.
Yeah.
I pass him with 1 lap to go. We come through 3:15. I pass him. I think he was more in shock because he's a 4:19, 4:20 guy. Okay. I'm barely running 4:30. I ended up winning and running 4:22. My coaches, everybody, it felt like a dream. Everyone's screaming at the top of their lungs. And I was conference champion. And I remember my coaches were crying, and they were proud of me. And I've never experienced anything like that before in my life. Like I had that. Like I was somebody like, fuck, like Fernando, you're great.
That's awesome, man.
And probably now I'm kind of emotional because I never thought of it that way. But
no, do it. That's raw, man. Yeah,
it was cool. It was cool.
Those moments, man.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool, and and going through, that put a stamp that, dude, you're gonna be, a guy who's gonna be special in college, in high school, and I was, I would go back and win the 2 mile that day, 3,200, and I was 2-time conference champion. I would go and beat all Valley, all section. I'd go to state. I had an experience state. The next couple of years, I'll be all state in the 3,200 as a junior and senior and all that stuff. But that was what turned me, like, I knew I was going to be elite. Knew I was going to be somebody. And then in college, oh man, there was a lot of good races. But it was hard to pick. But when I went to Mount Sac 2006, representing Virginia Intermont College, I ran 13:34, and that was pretty good. But also what hurt a little bit was I didn't give myself enough chances in the middle distances. I think I could have ran under 13:20. I've only had so many chances. So running 13:34 in 2006, that was good. And also as a pro division, running 1:14:21 for 25 kilometers, which is 4:46, 4:47 a mile, May of 2006 at the Riverbank Run, which was a 25K road championships for our country. And I ended up winning and breaking a record and, running 2:12 that year. And those were my breakouts. Running 2:12:27, going to Japan. You got to remember, I was 24 years old. I mean, not that far away from high school. And, it wasn't like I was set in life. I was still like, a kid struggling, trying to come up and try to find out who he was. And all of a sudden going to Japan and doing, running the 7th fastest debut ever in history. And I was like the youngest guy to ever do it. And so, doing great things. And you got to remember, this is all a kid from Fresno, a kid from the Central Valley. So that was all pretty cool. And I guess now that I'm older, I could reminisce back and enjoy it. At the time, I didn't really, pat myself on the back because I was just like everybody else saying, hey, man, that was good, but you could do better. Let's do better. Or, oh, let's see if you could do that again, stuff like that you'd hear. But I continue, to keep doing it, even at a master's, I ran 2:16 at 40 years old. So, I mean, I proved that I'm a brand name now.
Totally. Yeah, you got longevity in this sport. And even, was it last year or 2 years ago, you decided to run some 50Ks and you made like the rural team a couple of years ago?
So on my 40th birthday, the next day I ran, and that's because I think I could have ran faster. But anyways, there was a record from that was 30 years old, maybe back in the 80s, 3 hours flat. I ran 2:57, 5:43 pace for 50 kilometers. It was hot, humid, hilly. I'm solo, and I ran that, broke the record by a couple of minutes. And then ended up getting an automatic spot for the World 50K Championships. I would be announced on the team, but I gave up the team, give up my spot, because that's just how I am. Again, if I'm not ready to put it all on the line and represent myself, and now we're representing Team USA, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to give it to the next best guy who's ready. And so it's actually an athlete of mine who I coach who took my spot and stuff. So I was, obviously I was happy to give it to him, right? But I didn't get to run, but that was fine. Again, run when you're ready, and when you could represent yourself fully. So
yeah. And then now that like you're slowing down in a sense from running against the youngsters on the roads and stuff,
right.
Do you see? I mean, I know that you're right now it's kind of clean slate, but can you see yourself maybe running, like you said, maybe those 50Ks, 50 milers kind of in the future? Do you like that distance? How does that feel to you? What's your mind like? Because I know it's almost a different sport in a sense.
It is. It's a different mindset. You get to humble it, especially with fueling and stuff. And I've actually ran a 50-miler trail. I ran 6 hours and 43 minutes at the JFK 50-miler back in 21 or 20, I think, in November. I think it was November of 20. And so I believe I could break 5 hours. I think I could break the American record in the 50-miler without a doubt. I think I could go close to 8-9 minutes off my 50K time. Do I want to do it? Yeah, but I don't know if I'm gonna allot the time to do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think maybe if I don't do it within in a year, I know for now I'm not gonna do anything. I want to be in shape because it's kind of weird. Over the last year, I've actually fallen in love with training and out of level competition. But I think ultra is a little bit different. Yeah. I never thought like that. I was the type of person that said, dude, if you don't race and you're afraid to compete, or why do you do this? Why wouldn't you? That's just how I thought. I needed to win to make myself feel like I was a somebody. Now I don't need anybody's approval or anybody's like, hey, dude, you're good. Before I needed to hear that because I was too insecure for myself to tell myself, no, Fernando, you're this. I needed to hear from somebody else, or I needed to get an award. But now I'm like, no. I mean, so I ran 5:36 pace because I wanted to this morning after 18 miles. I wanted to do that because I thought it's fun. And also I had a lot built up, and I feel like I'm just free. So I'm like, let's go get high, let's go run a hard 18-miler. And so that's what's going to feed me and going to keep me consistent and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. I mean, not on your level, but dude, I was telling, because I was talking with Jose yesterday, and I was telling him, dude, like when I run, it's like my office. I just I clear my mind. It helps me figure out life when I'm just out there. So I mean, it's just what it is to me. So
it's a structure, definitely, man. It's a structure. Sorry to interrupt you. It was definitely a structure.
Go.
You got to remember, this world isn't always energy. Right now, talking or people listening to us are going to be like, it's just positive, good stuff. You put that phone down, you're driving down the street or going to work or whatever. Not everybody shares that same light, right? And that's the beauty of running. It's something that it preserves us, protects us. Sometimes these races are like a lifeline. These race organizers don't understand that. Sometimes this is like a lifeline for people to make it. They could be on the verge of saying, I don't know if I could do this anymore. But then they got this race and they got their friends and they made it. They run fast. They're like, okay, my life's great, And I feel like running, 10 years ago, that was a lot for me. I ran 2:11, my PB, but I was such in the dumps that I was like, I don't know if I could do this life. I mess up everything. I sabotage my life. I'm just a lost cause. And these are all things that are going in my mind, right? And I'm like, I don't do anything right. Everything that I touch, I burn. And I remember going to Berlin, and this is the week before, and I'm just such in the dumps. And I'm like, I came over here, I wasted all this money. I'm not even going to run good. And I'd go to the race, and I got a PB. And it was like a lifeline for me because I hurt so much that when I made it to the race, if I was able to get out of that darkness, that was Mickey Mouse stuff. That was nothing. It was like fun. I got to run in the light, in the sun, and I wasn't locked up in a room. And it was pretty cool. So running to me, I mean, it helped me a lot. And then all of a sudden I'm ranked top 5 in the country. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm great. Everyone's giving me messages on social media. like I had it all planned out. I'm like, dude, only if you guys knew that I was running for my life, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
But I'm grateful that I don't have to be that dramatic anymore and use running for that. I'm very much more calculated, and I do it just because I want to do it. And it also helps me, keeps me sharp. So it definitely is a lifestyle that I'm more into than going to go and try to compete to beat somebody. Because, yeah, I already won, I feel like.
Good, man. Totally, 100% you did. So let's talk about, I know that you mentioned that one of your athletes took your place because you do have a coaching business, Cabada Training Systems, correct?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you talk about that and how that's going? I know a couple of your athletes are making huge leaps and having huge PR. So, I mean, obviously you have it when it comes to coaching. So if you want to share a little bit about
Yeah,
that
you
with
know,
people.
just like everybody coming up through the years, you know, people are asking me, hey, can you coach me? Hey, and, you know, this is, I mean, I'm talking like 10 years ago, 15 years ago going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, I at that point, 15 years ago, I could barely manage myself. You know, how am I going to have, you know, anybody that I could take care of, you know? And so I finally made that leap going on 9 years ago, 2015 summer, and I started coaching, you know, starting out with a couple people. I used training systems, my last name Cabada, off of my coach then, Brad Hudson, Hudson Training Systems. So I talked to him first, says, hey, coach, I want to start coaching people. I wanted to use the training system, how you use it after your name. Would you have any issue, you know, anything like this? Oh, no, that's fine. Not that I needed his permission, but I felt like, I don't know, it's because I was copying him, like, as far as like that training systems part after his last name. I thought it was pretty cool. So yeah, you know, it's normal. Everyone thinks like I coach like elites. Like some people get to elite. I guess they get elite. I mean, don't ask me what fast is, because to me, people want, if someone doesn't run like at least 212 or faster, I don't take them that serious as far as put them on the elite level, because I know how
Because
fast.
you've been there, you've seen it.
They're monsters, man. You guys all saw at the trials how spread apart everybody was, you know, because when the going gets tough, I mean, the monsters come out. Everyone else is only fast on social media, but you put them out there, we see who's who when the going gets really tough. So anyways, back to, you know, what I was talking about. You know, I only have so many people who are actually elite. So these are all a lot of it's middle-aged people in their 40s, working, and so it's just online. I have a good group of people that I coach here. I meet them here at a local park. But yeah, it's going pretty good. You know, I have a few dozen runners. I don't have a high turnover rate, so I got a good thing. I'm not necessarily worried about trying to expand and get really, really big. I want to make sure I do a good job, but definitely they motivate me. I mean, there's women that are in their 40s who have 3 kids who run a business, and they can only run at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and that's it. They have to run in
and
the
they're
neighborhood.
doing it.
And they're doing it, and they're more elite than I've ever been. And you know, it's pretty cool to be able to guide people. It's like the biggest honor for them to trust me with their passion. So I take it very serious. I don't mess around when it comes to that. So I'm really on top of things. So I give everything weekly instead of like saying, hey, here's a cookie cutter monthly program, you know.
Yeah,
We'll see what you do. So, you know, I feed it to them and adjust things throughout the week, and depending on what they want and stuff like that. So I got a good thing going. So just rolling with it. I don't know where it's going to go, but I definitely want to give back and, you know, have like a foundation and give back to inner city youth, less fortunate, and through running and stuff like that. So I got stuff in the wheelhouse. I never went camping when I was a little kid. So stuff like that, running camps and stuff. I got some cool ideas. So
nice, man. Cool. Look forward to tracking that, and maybe one day getting your advice on some stuff. So
yeah. I'm trying to get advice too and figure it out, but yeah,
that's what life is, huh? So I mean, just from your struggle, not even struggles, successes, everything from a running aspect, from people who are trying to, you know, reach their PRs, whether that's a 5K PR at an 18-minute pace or a break the 15-minute barrier. What advice do you have to those people? And I mean, that could apply to any distance. And people that are just trying to just push themselves, what's your advice there?
Focus on them, focus on you, focus on where you're at. A lot of times, for me being as fast as I was, it's almost like a curse, because all I do is think about how fast it was when I was 24, 25, and it kind of takes the fun away going forward. So I think a lot of people try to, you know, compare themselves to their friends or in their running group or a family member, I don't know, anybody, and it takes the fun out of it. You know, they're looking on social media or in Strava and seeing, you know, fast runs, and People are all different. You know, I don't know what that person's going through. You don't know what that person's going through. So don't be so hard on yourself. Stick to the basics, take the steps on each ladder, meaning, you know, you're going on there, you're only running 20 miles a week. And then all of a sudden you're seeing this person that keeps improving and they're like, oh, they're running 65 miles a week. So I'm going to start doing that. And they're trying to, like, in one hop, try to get to the top of the ladder. It's not going to work. Take the steps, you know, don't be in such a hurry, because to be honest, I'm going to tell you guys this right now. Watch what you wish for, because the quicker you get, you know, like you start at 4 hours, you're at 3:30 for a marathon or whatever the distance is, right? Everybody's all positive. Everybody wants to give advice and everyone's all joyful, cheerful. You're going to get to where you're really fast, maybe breaking the 3-hour barrier or the 2:30 barrier. And all of a sudden it gets a little stressful. You start being a little grumpy. You start like, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Where's this positive person at now that you're not getting what you want? Now the race starts. What's up? So watch what you wish for, because that happens a lot. That's why sometimes with elites, people that are on the verge of becoming elite, it's kind of hard to coach them, because it's such a fine like window of happiness that they give themselves, right? Like to get let's just say you're a 2:14 marathoner, and every race, you know, you're trying to break 2:14, and you could get a headwind and be in no man's land and run 2:21. And you're thinking, oh man, that race sucks. It's like they're depressed. I was probably depressed with running for about 6 years when I ran a 2:12 in 2006, and then in 2012 I finally break 2:12, and I didn't enjoy my running. I was just happy for a little bit, and I'm like, oh, I can run 2:09 now, and then I didn't, you know. So I don't know. It's just always just focus on you and don't worry about what others think. Don't try to compare yourself to anybody else. I know you heard that, but I mean, this is the source right here. I'm telling you guys, that's not worth it. So. Always remember that why you started running, what is done for you. Don't put yourself like on the spotlight and say, oh no, if I do this, I'm successful. If I don't break this, I suck or whatever. Just embrace the gift, because there's a lot of people who wish they could run, you know? So
totally, man. Hey, this was awesome. Like everything, I felt like I learned a lot. I'm truly inspired. Like I said, I was always inspired by you, but just to hear it from you firsthand and of course share it with the people, this means a lot, man. And like I said, I'm always rooting for you and cheering for you, whatever you decide to do. So look forward to just continuing to check in on you and see what you're up to. So yeah, thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Ray, you know, I like what you're doing with this podcast, what you're doing in general. I know, you know, I didn't know you before this, but then you know, after you telling me a little bit about yourself and how you knew me, and I started looking more into what you're doing. So I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll be supporting you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon.